So I'm gonna try to see if I can actually like add these categories in a time span that doesn't take up like a good portion. I'll try my best. Okay, so now I made it through food and what you put in your body. I'd like to touch on the visual focus. Now, put my thinking cap on. Nah, I don't need it. I got intuition. So, we got visual focus, attention. Where do you put what you look at and what do you take in? Because I'll tell you, as somebody who has like multiple dreams vividly each night, sometimes what happens in your day ends up stored in, let's call it, an akashic record of your body. Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. So you have this and it's stored and can be accessed. On top of that, you also have the emotions stored, mostly in the gut. Our organs store a lot of stuff, believe it or not. And there's actually each little thing in our body is associated with something, be it on external, you know, that as above, so below. Mm-hmm. Shit's real. So, we are consuming visually just as well as what we're putting in our body. But in this state, it's more of a psychological conscious awareness. Because whether they shape you by your sensational... See, when I get to these moments, I'm like, what word do I want to use? And then I draw a blank. Obviously. And then I decide to say something else in a way of deciding to say, hey, let's fill that time. And you just watched it. So that's an example right there how I'm going to use a lesson of saying, because of you watching that moment, you absorbed it. Did it add to your life potential? Maybe not. Was it inspiring? Maybe not. But that happens on a larger scale with most of the stuff actually being funded to be put out there. You want that good stuff, trust me. So, this takes place in music, in movies, in television. You can just tell by the amount of money being forced to advertise something. They build that hype, you know, by making fake accounts and making like all these people engineer some sort of hype or engineer some sort of opinion or say, you're going to buy this product. Because, plain and simple, that's what it is. And in the music industry, you got examples of how they would push the limit of what they'd like the popular culture to listen to. Thus, what gets over-hoarded by radio is just the same thing over and over again. And they're funded in accord by the music record labels and that industry to send them the music of what they can and can't do. I mean, there's copyrights to that stuff too. So I don't want to support that as much either. I don't like listening to ads in the first place. And that's a whole other category because ads, they inject so much ideas in such a short span and they like expertise that time span to just get something into you. And not all of it is good. I mean, I don't think I even like people on my YouTube to see ads. So I don't. Plain and simple. Yeah, I can make money off of it, but you know what? I do not want to see an ad. So why should I make you see an ad? Agreed? Cool. Yeah, I don't do that advertising stuff. I'd rather do hard work and art and let things work out because I have a drive and a force and passion to do what I'd like to do, not to crutch on something, because our potential can only lead us to a comfortable position. So it's good to find change and to always develop and grow. As I'm like leading off into a life lesson, let's get back into this engineered industry that basically mass produces stuff for you to like consume visually. And it affects psychologically. There's so much stuff out there trying to like implant ideas in people, and on the politic level, you got people who are so easily swayed and influenced. And like, I see these people, like, they're people who do not understand how the system works, but the illusion of the system they are sold. And by part because they do not look into it, they do not live in a world they are aware of, because they either are working all the time or trying to escape reality. Either way, I don't see them being able to take their truest self and doing something with it. Yeah, everyone has a part to play, so maybe you gotta be in that right place at the right time. And I mean, you will still do some goodness, but that potential, I mean, it's as much as you'd like it to be. You know, I mean, yeah, we got obligations, and yeah, we're in debt systems and stuff like that. So I mean, I got no justification. Shit's crate, plain and simple. I mean, we're trying to evolve out of the system, and we got to do it through within. It's not like we can say, hey, do this so all these people don't have to do stuff. Nah, doesn't work like that. So this industry has their influences, and it's funny because even going back to like the 40s and 50s, there's studies on the human reception, be it MK Ultra for like psychological and psi studies and all this other stuff that humans are capable of, on the part of also being able to manipulate the public or the populace to embrace certain ideas or to have a certain stance. It's like the whole reason, if somebody dislikes Russia, it's because they're implanted with that idea. They don't have a thought of their own, so they're using the one that is most conformed to. And they go with it because no one's going to disagree with them. But I think it's better to be against a system rather than fit its narrative every single day of your life, because at least you're thinking for yourself. I mean, we're all figuring it out, but at that same time, too, you don't have to dislike something because someone told you to. And this whole thing works with, like, how we ended up going to Iraq, or how we're sold on the whole terrorist thing. I mean, we funded those guys. But, I mean, they'll tell you they're bad people, or they'll tell you the people they're supporting that they don't tell you are also the same people who are doing all the bad stuff is their little proxy pawns. But media, both politics-wise and sales-wise, and even like hidden manipulation-wise, it's all out there. And it's the majority of stuff. You got to prune through quality stuff. And even then, if you are conscious and aware, you can still watch something with consumption being aware. So you can neglect any implants or any entrainment they try to put onto you, as long as you're aware of what you're actually doing, what you're watching, not based on belief alone. You gotta scale it yourself. No one's gonna do it for you either. I mean, if you expect to, you're really looking for some sort of answer and not within. It all is within. So if you're not looking within, you're basically walking in the dark trying to get some good guesses in. And I mean, you can't also be shaped and molded. That's also not okay. Yeah, you might be able to play a part, but this has to be like truth. Your truth. I mean, that's where things are going. So that whole perception is key. Now, this is also going to lead into environment, because the environment here, you know what? We're not gonna do environment because the video's already almost at 8 minutes. What you gonna do when it gets more than 8 minutes? You can't do that. Because you make people wait a long time and they all end up watching it. And you're like, oh, it's 13 minutes. It's a long video. And you're like, no. So this is the end of the video. Because I got another part coming. Don't you worry. If you want to see more, it's on its way. Because I know you're craving long blabbers of this polymath. So, I love you. Thanks for watching.